Hi, this is Meganadha. In this module, we will learn what are functions, also called as methods in C language. So this is module 18 of C programming tutorials. Let's get started. Now, before we jump into understand about functions, let's try to write some code to find factorial of a number. Let's get started. Now first what I have to do now, so this is module 18. So I will create new file new empty file, and I'll save it, and I'll give this example as 18.functions example1. Now what I'll do is I'll just write here include stdio.h, include conio.h, void main. So my requirement is to find factorial of a number. So what I'll do now, int n, and let's take I, and for result I'll just write here result is equal to 1. Now I want to read the value from the user, so printf enter n value, and then scanf. We use scanf for reading the value %d comma ampersand n. So we'll read the value from the user. Now how to find factorial? Factorial of a number is nothing but, let's take we are entering 4. Factorial of 4 is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Or that's also called as factorial of a number is from 1 to 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. So product from 1 to itself, right? So 4 factorial is 4 3s are 12, 12 2s 24, 24 1s are 24. So 4 factorial is 24. So now what we have to do, we need to write the logic for from 1 to the number I plus plus, we need to find the product. So result is equal to result star I. So first time I value is 1, it'll print 1 into 1, I value becomes 2, 1 into 2, now the result is 2, I value becomes 3, 2 into 3 6, result is 6, I value becomes 4, 6 into 4 24, result is 24, I value becomes 5. So 24 into 5 120, result is 1. So this will be keep on finding the product of the consecutive numbers from 1 to n. So that's what we need, because that's the factorial of a number. Now I'll just print here printf, and I'll write here factorial of percentile d is percentile d. In this case I'll write n and result. Now we are done with the program. So let's see whether we'll get the output or not. Let's save it and let's build the code. Now you can see here so it's still taking time, there are no errors and warnings. Let's run the code. Now it's taking time, so enter n value. Let me enter 4, and you can see factorial of 4 is 24. We're getting the output, right? So let's run the code, and this time I'll enter number 5. So ideally I'm expecting the answer as 24 into 5, it's 120. So you can see it's printing the answer as 120. Now let's take my client side. I want to find factorial for one more number. So what I'll do now is int n1 comma I'll use the same variable, and result 1 is equal to 1. Now I want to find factorial of two numbers and print the result together. So I'm declaring one more variable n1 and result 1. Now what I'll do here, I'll ask the user printf enter n1 value, and I'll write scanf %d comma ampersand n1. Now I'm reading the second number. Now I have to write the same logic once again. Once again I have to write the for loop, but this time I have to write for n1 up to n1. So I'll write here for I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n1, I plus plus. Now I have to write result 1 is equal to result 1 star I. So the same kind of for loop. Now here we have written up to n because we need to find n factorial, and here writing from 1 to n1 because here I want to find n1 factorial. So again I have to print, so let me copy this and Control C, I'm copying it, Control V. Now here I want to print n1 comma result 1. So you can see here to find factorial of second number I have written the same logic. There's the first logic and there's a second logic. Now let's save it and build the code and run the code. Now I'm entering n value as 4 and 1 value is 5. I can see here factorial of 4 is 24, Factorial of 5 is 120. I'm getting the answer. But the problem with this code is the code is getting duplicated. The code is almost getting duplicated. Let's put slash n. Now, what if I want to find factorial of next number? Let's take I want to find factorial of 3 numbers. So I'll read the third number here, but I have to write one more for loop up to n3. So, and let's see that now. So in this case, I don't want to read the values from the user. Let's delete this code. And I'm writing here n is equal to 4. I'll just hard code this. N equal to 4 and n1 equal to 5. So now I'm writing this for loop once again. So I'm printing it. Now what if I want to find factorial for 6? So I'll write here int n2 is equal to 6 and result 2 is equal to 1. And I have to write one more for loop. So I have to write one more for loop. And now see here. I'll write here for I is equal to n2, result 2 is equal to result 2. So I have to type like this. So the code is getting more or less, you can see that I'll write here n2 and result 2. The same kind of for loop is getting repeated multiple times. So now let's save it and build it. And now let's run the code. You can see here we're getting the answers, but this is not good code because the logic is getting repeated. So instead of writing the code repetitively, what we can do is we can create a function with this logic. So a function is a reusable component in C language. A function is a reusable code block, reusable component that can be called any number of times so that it can be reused, right? So now what we'll do is, first thing for a function, first thing is you need to declare the function and then you need to define the function. So now declaring function, we normally do like this: int factorial. It takes one parameter, that's integer, int n. So this is how we declare a function. So the function takes one number. Let's say you want to find factorial of 4. So you need to send that number to the function and that function returns an integer. So this is called function parameters and this is called function return type. These are called parameters, also called as arguments, and this is called the return type. So in this case it only takes one number and returns a number. So now we need to define the body of this function. So we'll write here below this. So int factorial of int n, and what this function should do, int result is equal to 1 comma I. For I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, I plus plus, and I'll write here result is equal to result star I and return result. Now in this case what happens is, let's take your sending here 4. So it'll loop through the product 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 and it'll be 24, and this function returns 24 wherever this function is called. So this is called function definition and this is called function declaration. Now I'm removing these 3 for loops. Let me delete all the 3 for loops. Delete. Now what I'll do here is I'll just write here, even I don't need these variables as well. Let me delete all these result variables. Now I'll write here n1 is equal to 5, n2 is equal to 6. Now I'll delete these lines. Now here I'll call the function. So this is called function definition, and what I'll do now is I'll call the function. How to call a function is just you need to write the function name factorial of n. So that's called a function call. I'll explain you factorial of n1, and here we'll write factorial of n2. Okay, so now this is called, I repeat once again, this is called function declaration, this is called function definition, and this is called function call. This is called function call and this is called function call. Now what happens is, so program execution starts from main method. So main method is the place where program execution starts. It will declare the variables and factorial of here, n value will be printed here. In this case we are calling the function. So what is n value? N value is 4. So 4 will be sent here. Now 4 will be sent to this method as parameter. Now when n value becomes 4, this loop will iterate 1, 2, 3, 4 and returns 24. So the 24 that's returned will be given to this. So here it will print factorial of 4 is 24. And here again we are calling function call, but this time we are sending 5. So this value will be 5, and now this function will be called with the value 5 once again, and now here it will loop 5 times. Please note that this n is not same as this n. This n1 is not same as this n. So all we do is we send the value. It doesn't matter about the variable. So you can write here not only n, you can write here a, and you just need to write here a. That's it. Now first time we are sending here 4, a value will be 4. It will calculate 24 and returns it. Second time we are sending here 5, n1 value with 5, a value is 5. It will loop through here and it will return 120. Third time we are sending the 6, a value will be 6, and it will loop through here 6 up to 6, and it will print 720. It will be returned, and the return value will reach here and it will print 720. Now let's save it and build it and run the code. Now you can see you're getting the same output. So previously we have written 3 for loops here, but now we are just calling the function. Then this function can be called any number of times. So what if I want to find factorial for one more number? So I don't have to write any for loop once again. I just need to call this function with that number. So that's how functions are very friendly for reusable code blocks. Now you can also see here that these 3 lines are also looking like duplicate. You can still optimize this. So these 3 lines are also looking like duplicate. What I can do now is I can create a function called print data. So void. So first I need to declare the function. So let's declare the function void. Because it's not returning. If a function is not returning anything, we'll just write void. Print data. And I want to print n value, and I want to just print call this function. So what I'll do is I'll just write here int n. So let's try to understand. Once I write it, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. Now I'll write here void print data int n. Now what I'll do inside this method is printf factorial of %d is %d, comma. In this case of %d, I'll write here n, comma. I'll call the function factorial of n. Now instead of these 3 lines, what I can do is I'm deleting these 3 lines, and I can simply write print data method. I can call print data n, print data n1, and print data n2. Now see here, first I'm calling this function with n. Now what happens now? This will print data with n value 4, and it will print factorial of 4 is, and it's calling factorial method. So this will call this method, and it'll print 24. So that the previous 3 printf statements are just become now function calls. So this is also a reusable component, a reusable method, and it's having void because this is not returning anything, and this having return integer. This is calculating factorial and returning an integer. That's why the return type is integer. So if a method is not returning anything, you just need to write void when you are declaring the function, and when you are defining anyway, you'll write the same way. And here, this is the method body. Now let's try to summarize this. So a function is a reusable code block, a reusable component which can be called any number of times, and this is called function declaration, and this also one more declaration, and this is called function body, and this is called function body, also called as definition. Now you can call a function any number of times, and one more point is you can call one function inside another function. So in print data function, I'm actually calling factorial function. You can do that. And last but not the least, if a function is not returning anything, we'll just write it as void. So void return type means the function will not return anything. Right? So I hope you're clear with the concept of functions. Down the line we'll see a lot of more examples, and please practice this and see whether you're getting the output or not. So in the next module we will learn about recursion in C language. So hope you're clear about how functions can help in creating reusable components, and that's all from my side for now. See you in the next module.